At the most recent Pro Tour, the breakout deck was Rakdos Vampires, and what made this deck so powerful was Sorin Imperious Bloodlord with Vein Ripper. This combo is so powerful that we're going to be taking it into Modern. And if you haven't seen Sorin, this is a 3-mana Planeswalker with the key ability of -3. You may put a vampire creature from your hand onto the battlefield. And if you don't know what Vein Ripper is, this is a 6-mana 6/5 flyer with Ward, sacrifice a creature. And whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. So we're going to be taking this powerful combo and sweet Golgari Scam deck into a League of Modern to see how good Vein Ripper is in the Modern format. Match 1, we are on the play, and starting hand is a little too weak here, so we'll mull. This hand is also weak, but on 6, we will keep it, putting back a forest. Pre-game actions, opponent puts in a Leyline, playing out a Foothills, into a turn 1 Ragavan. We top deck a Sorin, we'll play out our Verdant, passing. Opponent plays out a Bloodstrand, attacks in with the Ragavan, and then they put Jegantha into their hand. We find our Surveil land, and yeah, I guess we'll keep a 3rd Bowmasters. We will play out our Verdant, fetch, picking up a Swamp, play out our Bowmasters, and kill their Ragavan. Opponent shocks in a Steam Vince, playing out another Ragavan, into a Neshoba Brawler. We find a Foothills, we'll play that out, cast out another Bowmasters, and take out the Ragavan. Opponent plays a tapped Overgrown Tomb, and we will take 5. We find another land, we'll play out our Peat land, and attack in with our 2 Bowmasters. Opponent goes to combat, attacking in, we will block their army, and on the end step, we'll cast out another Bowmasters, taking out the Brawler, and we'll also crack a Peat land. Ooh, Grief is a huge draw. We will play out a Wooded Foothills. Oh no, we go to fetch, and they bolt us once into another bolt, and opponent got us there, so let's get on to sideboarding. We'll take out 2 Pillage Bog for 2 Force of Vigor. Game 2, starting hand is a little weak, but definitely a keep. Opponent pre-game action puts in a Leyline, we'll lead on turn 1 Verdant. Opponent goes turn 1 Foothills into a Wild Nacatl, and push is a good one to keep on top. We'll play out a Takenuma, we'll evoke out one of the Grief, getting rid of a Sorin. We'll take a Scion, then we'll Grief in, taking the Territorial Kavu, and fire off a push on this Nacatl. Top deck a Thoughtseize, we will pass. Nothing from the opponent, another Thoughtseize for us, which we will fire one of them off, and take a Fable the Mirror Breaker. Draw go from the opponent, land go for us. Opponent plays the Plains and picks up a Jegantha. Instead, we will play out our Bowmasters, draw a land, we'll fire off a Thoughtseize. We will take their Jegantha, play our tapped land, and attack in for 2. Opponent fires off a Legion's End on our Bowmasters. Another land for us, we will attack in for 1, and pass the opponent. We top deck a Pillage Bog, which we will play out our land, and pass. Nothing from the opponent, we top deck a Bowmasters, we will attack in. Land from the opponent, instead we'll fire off our Bowmasters. Another Pillage Bog, we'll attack in for 3. They bolt our army, poke in for 1. We'll cast our Pillage Bog from the plot, and we'll pick up another Bowmasters and plot another Pillage Bog. Land go from the opponent, we'll fire off another Bowmasters, find a land, attack in for 3, cast our Pillage Bog, find a Vein Ripper, shock in our Overgrown Tomb, and cast out a Vein Ripper. An opponent scoops it up. I did not expect to win that one. Let's get on to game 3. Game 3, starting hand does the scam thing, so we'll definitely keep. Another Leyline for the opponent. They have a turn 1 tap land. We will shock in our Tomb, evoke out a Grief, and we'll take Territorial Kavu, not dead after all, our Grief, and take their Bolt. Looks like we're in a good spot here. Land from the opponent into a Leyline Binding. Find a Thoughtseize, we'll go land into a Goyf. Nothing from the opponent, we'll attack in for 2, and play another Goofball. Tap land from the opponent, we will fire off a Thoughtseize, and we'll take a Leyline of the Guild Pack, pumping our Goyfs, attack in for 8. Tribal Flames, killing a Goyf. Land for us, we'll attack in, play a tap Tomb, passing. Nothing from the opponent, we'll go land into a Sorin, and if they try to double counter this, that pumps the Goyf, and they do just let it resolve, so we'll down tick, putting in a Vein Ripper, and opponent scoops it up. We are 1-0. Let's get on to the next match. We are on the draw again against Jegantha deck, and we got Molded Sand. And our 6 looks much stronger. We will keep and put back a forest. Opponent goes turn 1 Cavern on human, playing out a Norn the Wary. So we'll go turn 1 Swamp into a Thoughtseize. And looking at their hand, we will take an Unsettled Mariner. Opponent plays out an Ancient Ziggurat into an Aether Vial. We top deck a Grief. We'll play out our Verdant, passing. Opponent plays the Ziggurat into a Delaney. And on end step, we will fetch out a land, keep a land on top, and push the Delaney. We'll play out a tap land, passing. Another land for the opponent into an Imperial Recruiter, picking up a Zaturo, the Infiltrator, which seems like an insanely sweet combo. Wow, that's so sick with Norn. So on the end step, before Norn comes back, we will play out our Bowmasters and take out the Recruiter, and they draw another card. Oh, but we get a Bowmaster trigger, taking out the Norn. Okay, we find another Sorin, so let's cast out a Grief, and we will take their Reflector Mage and attack him with our army, and we'll pass back. One plays out Unclaimed Territory into a Thalia's Lieutenant, and attacks in for 3. We see a Pillage mage. We will attack in for 2. No blocks from the opponent. And we'll pass. In step, they activate an Ether Vial, so we will play out another Bowmasters and try and take out their Thalia. And they do not put in anything. I'm going to cast out the Drina and attacks in for 3. Find another Sorn. We will cast one of them out, tick up on our Orc Army, and attack in for 3. Opponent vials in a Reflector Mage, bouncing our 3/3. Then they draw 2, so we will take out their Drina, which they sacrifice, meaning that we don't actually get any tokens, which is unfortunate. Opponent plays out another Vial, attacks us for 5. Then they vial in a Delaney, which we will take out. Then they cast an Imperial Recruiter, picking up a Brutal Cathar. We find a land, we will cast our Pillage, and yeah, Vein Ripper is the card we are looking for, so we'll pick that up, down tick our Sorn, and put in a Vein Ripper. Then pass back. Opponent vials in their Brutal Cathar, taking out a Bowmasters, so we will kill an Imperial Recruiter, which triggers Vein Ripper. Then they play out a Saluted Courtyard into vialing in a Champion of the Parish, and we get another Bowmaster trigger, so we'll kill the Champion, getting another Vein Ripper trigger. And then they cast out a Meddling Mage, aiming Fatal Push. Find a Castle Lochthwain, we will tick up our Sorn on our Vein Ripper, attack in with our 4/4 and our 7/6 flying. And they do block, but that triggers Vein Ripper twice, putting them down to 1. That means we can play out our Castle Lochthwain into another Sorn, keep the new Sorn, tick up, sacrifice our Vampire, get a Vein Ripper trigger, and deal 3 of them, and they scoop it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. And we are not going to do any changes for sideboarding, so let's get on to game 2. Game 2, starting hand looks perfect. It leads on turn 1 Cavern into a Champion of the Parish. Draw a Swamp, we will play that out, evoke our Grief, pitching another Grief. We will take the Zaturo, then cast our Not Dead After All, and we'll take the Reflector Mage. Opponent plays a Secluded Courtyard into a Thalia's Lieutenant, attacking in for 3. Another land, we'll attack in for 4, and we will fetch, pick up a forest, and play out our Goyf. Opponent plays an Unclaimed Territory into a Delaney, and attacks in for 4. Another land for us, we'll go to combat, attack in, and play out a land, and we'll Maelstrom Pulse the Delaney. Ooh, and they find a Reflector Mage off the top, bouncing our Tarmogoyf, and we're down to 2. Fatal Push off the top, that does nothing, so we just have to scoop it up here and get on to game 3. Game 3, starting hand looks quite strong, so we'll keep lead on turn 1 Verdant, passing. Opponent goes turn 1 Ancient Ziggurat into a Champion of the Parish. We'll fetch, finding our Surveil land, find a Vein Ripper, that's a huge draw. We will fetch Shock, and cast out our Bowmasters, killing their champion. Opponent plays an Unclaimed Territory into an Unsettled Mariner. Another Vein Ripper off the top for us. We'll Fatal Push their Unsettled Mariner, paying the 1. Then fire off a Grief, exiling a Vein Ripper, and we'll take a Thalia's Lieutenant, back in for 2. Wow, good draw from them. They find a champion, and then play out a Norn. We'll cast out the Pillage Bog. I guess we're picking up a push here. And opponent plays out a Charming Prince, scrying 2, keeping 1 on top and putting 1 to the bottom. Wow, still no land for us. So we'll just pass back. Opponent plays out a land into a Delaney, attacking with the team, so we'll just push the champion. Oh, still not a land, which is unfortunate, because that's kind of what we wanted. So we will cast a Grief, exiling a Vein Ripper, taking their Imperial Recruiter, and we might as well as fire off the Not Dead After All, taking their Norn. And opponent finds a Thalia's Lieutenant. Oh my gosh! Now they've drawn pretty well, and we've drawn pretty poorly. They attack in, we will chump block with our 1/1, and they get 2+1/+1 counters on their Thalia's Lieutenant. Find a Thoughtseize, we will fire off our Tarmogoyf, and pass back. Opponent plays out an Unsettled Mariner. Okay, passing back after that. Still no land. Okay, I guess we will pass back. Opponent attacks in with their Norn, exiling it, and we will fire off an Bowmasters now, shooting our Goyf. Aha! A land! Let's go. We will play out our Sorn. We will tick up on our Grief and attack in. Another land for the opponent, and they attack in with their Thalia, which we will chump block with an army. Another land for us, tick up on our Grief, attack in for 4, play a land, and pass. Opponent attacks in, we will chump. Another land for us, we will tick up on our Grief again, attack in, land, go. Opponent attacks in again, and we'll take 12 this time. Wow, still nothing from them. You know, like a push, anything, a lot of things could win us this game. Not a land. That's not it. Take up again on the Grief, back in, and they just take it. Opponent plays out on Thalia's Lieutenant. Yep, and they just have lethal no matter how we block. So opponent got us there. Unfortunate game for us, but let's get on to the next match. We are on the play, and our starting hand's a little too weak, so we'll mull. And our 6 looks perfect here. We'll put back a Sorn. We'll lead on turn 1 Takanuma into a Thoughtseize. And our opponent looks like they're on Affinity, so we will just take the Moonsnare prototype. Turn 1 Mistvault Bridge into a Welding Jar. We draw a Castle Lochthwain. We'll play our Surveil land. And Bowmasters is a great draw, so we'll keep that on top. And opponent plays a Moonsnare prototype. Thoughtseize Bug, great, into a Shadow Spear. We draw our Bowmasters. We'll play out our Castle into a Sorn. Then we will down tick and put in our Vein Ripper. Opponent plays an Island into a Simulacrum Synthesizer. Ooh, another Bowmasters off the top, huge draw. We will tick up on our Vein Ripper and attack in for 7. Another Simulacrum Synthesizer for the opponent. Then they play out a Memnite into a Sojourner's Companion. This is scary, but I think we just have lethal here with double Bowmasters. Yeah, Halo Hopper, that's fine. So end step, we'll cast a Bowmasters, take out their Memnite, drain number 2, then cast our other Bowmasters out, take out... Actually, I don't know how this works. If we take out our army... Oh, it doesn't. Okay, that's fine. Draw a push. We will attack in with everything. And no matter how they block, they do die here. And opponent scoops up. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 4 push and a Maelstrom Pulse for 2 Pick Your Poison, Collector Oof, and 2 Force of Vigor. Game 2, starting hand looks pretty sweet, so we'll keep. One goes turn 1 Shores into a Moonsnare prototype. Find a Vein Ripper. We will fetch Shock and cast a Pick Your Poison, making them sacrifice the Moonsnare prototype. One plays out a Saga into a Springleaf Drum. We find our Surveil land. We will touch up a Swamp and cast out our Pillage Bog. Ooh, Collector Oof. Yes, yes, yes. Opponent plays out a Memnite passing. We will cast out an Oof, and in response, they do make a Construct. And we'll play out our Surveil land. Ooh, Sorin. Yeah, we'll keep that. Opponent floats a mana off a Saga and picks up a Pithy Needle. Ooh, naming Sorin. And they cast out a Thought Monitor and attack in for 6. We draw our Sorin. We will fire off a Maelstrom Pulse on the Pithy Needle and hope we can survive for a turn. Opponent plays out a Frogmite and attacks in for 8. They're not dead after all. All right, come on, Sorin. Please help us. They have a counter spell for it. We'll scoop it up and get on to game 3. Game 3 starting hand is a little too weak, so mull. And this hand is much stronger. We will keep putting back a land. Lead on turn 1 Wood Foothills. Opponent goes turn 1 tap land. And end step we will Surveil. Ooh, Pick Your Poison. Yeah, we'll keep them. We will cast our 1 mana Stone Rain. Play out another land. Opponent plays out a Darkslick Shores into a Moonsnare. Another land for us. We will cast out our Goof land and pass. Another shore for the opponent into a Memnite, into a Simulacrum Synthesizer. Ooh, Goif's good draw. We will play our land, pick up a Swamp, and fire off our Force of Vigor, taking out the Synthesizer and Prototype, and attacking for 4. Opponent plays out a tap land into a Springleaf Drum, into an Ornithopter, into a Halo Hopper. Ooh, Bowmasters off the top is great. We'll play another Goofball, attack in 4. They cast a Thought Monitor, so we will cast out a Bowmasters. No shot. Their last card in hand's the counter spell. Well, that's a semi-pun by me. Should have just played this on my turn. That's okay. They draw 2, cast out a Welding Jar, draw a land. We'll play that out into a Pillage Bog, and we'll pick up a Force of Vigor and attack in with the team, and they chump block one of them. They play out a Sojourner's Companion. Wow, and they do attack in, and they cast a Halo Hopper, so that should be GG's. We draw a Thoughtseize. We will cast our Force of Vigor, killing their 2 blockers. They pop the Welding Jar, protecting the Companion, but that taps it, so we can attack in for 10. And they scoop it up there, so let's get on to the next match. We are on the play, and starting hand looks pretty strong, so we'll keep. We'll lead on turn 1 Shockland into a Thoughtseize. Okay, and it looks like we're up against Yogg, so we will take the Grist. It goes turn 1 Blooming Marsh into a Halfling. Another land off the top. We will fetch and play out a Goif. Opponent plays a land into a Habatra. Ooh, a Pillage Bog. We'll play our Verdant and go to combat. Back in for 4 and pass back. Opponent plays out a Forest into a Young Wolf. Into a Grist, which they tick up, milling a Wall of Roots. An opponent passes back, so we'll fetch for our Surveil land. We will bin a Not Dead After All, and instep, fire off a Bowmasters, killing an insect. We find a land. We will go to combat, attack Grist with our Tarmogoyf, which they chump block. We will play our land and cast out our Shieldred. And they found a Yawgmoth. Yeah, at this point, we're just too far behind, so we will scoop it up here and get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 4 Tarmogoyfs and a Pillage the Bog for Maelstrom Pulse and 4 Endurance. Game 2, hand is a little weak, but all we need is a Vein Ripper, so we'll keep. We'll lead on turn 1 Verdant, pass. Nothing from the opponent, so we will get our Surveil land. We will bin an Endurance. Find a push, we'll shock in our Tomb, and cast our Pillage the Bog. And I guess we'll take up Bowmasters. Opponent plays a land into a Wall of Roots, then a Young Wolf. Okay, we find a land. We will fire off a Fatal Push on the Wall of Roots and pass the opponent. Land for the opponent, they attack in for 1. Okay, into a Grist, which is actually not a big deal. They tick up. In step, we will fetch and cast out a Bowmasters, killing the insect. Maelstrom Pulse off the top, not bad. We'll play out another Bowmasters, shoot the Grist for 1, and attack the Grist for 3. Opponent shocks in a land and plays a Cauldron. Then cast out a Bowmasters, taking out our Bowmasters, and then go to exile Grist their Cauldron, and I think we have to Endurance in response to this. We find a land. We will play out our Sorin, tick up on our Orc army, attack in. Oh, and they double block this. That's okay. And we'll pass back. Okay, opponent has another Grist. They down tick, sacking their Bowmasters to kill our Sorin. Another land for us. We'll play out our Sorin, tick up on our Bowmasters, and attack the Grist. And they let us take it down. So we'll play out our land and pass. Instead, they exile their Grist with the Cauldron. They tick up with their Grist. Then they exile our Endurance, putting a +1/+1 on their insect, ticking up this Grist. We draw a Grief. And at this point, the only real out we have is to to Takanuma into a Vein Ripper, which we whiff on, so we will scoop it up here. Opponent's just too far ahead and get on to the next match. We are on the draw, and our starting hand is just a little too weak here, so we have them all. And this hand looks much stronger. We will keep putting back our Surveil land. Turn 1 Delta for the opponent. We draw a Maelstrom Pulse, and we'll play out our land. Opponent plays out a Mire. We will find our Surveil land, and we'll bin a push. We find a Grief off the top. We will play a tap land and pass. And on the end step, they do fire in a Bowmasters. They play a land, attacking for 2, and then they fetch a land, playing out a Fable. So we will push the Goblin Shaman. Thoughtseize off the top, not bad. We will evoke out a Grief, pitching our Thoughtseize. Alright, happy to take the Sheoldred's Edict. And we will play our land out into a Sorin, down tick, and put in our Vein Ripper. Opponent loots with the Fable, discarding Kroxa and a Not Dead After All. Opponent plays out another Bowmasters, taking out our Sorin, and nothing else from them. Find a Grief, we'll go to combat, attacking for 6. And then we'll fire off a Maelstrom Pulse on the Bowmasters, getting 2 Vein Ripper triggers, and pass back to the opponent. And opponent scoops it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 4 Thoughtseize and 2 Maelstrom Pulse for 4 Endurance and 2 Veil of Summers. Game 2, hand is a little land light, but I'm actually going to keep this. Opponent goes turn 1 land into a Thoughtseize. They take our Sorin, we top deck another one, and play out our castle. Alright, they fire off another Thoughtseize, and again they take a Sorin. We found another Not Dead After All, and we'll pass back. Opponent plays out a Mount Doom into a Dothi, and we draw a land. We'll play that out, and Fatal Push the Dothi. Opponent plays a tapped land, and we'll get our Surveil land. And sadly, we will bin a Sheoldred. Another land for us off the top. We'll play out our Verd and passing. And on our end step, they fire off a Bowmasters. Opponent attacks in with the team, and we will do nothing. Nothing else from them. So on the end step, we will cast our Endurance. And in response to this, they cast a K command, making us discard and picking up their Dothi. Oh, we find a Grief off the top. Huge. We'll evoke that out. And we will take their K command first, cast our Not Dead After All on our Grief, and our Grief comes back, and we'll take their Dothi. We'll attack in for 3, and fire off our Pillage Bog, and we'll pick up a Goyf. Opponent attacks in for 2, and then cast out a Fable. We will go to combat, back in, and they chump our Endurance, and we'll pass back. And on their upkeep, we will fire off our Bowmasters, taking out their Orc Army, and an opponent top decks a Grief, casting it out, taking our Goyf. We find a land, we'll go to combat, back in with our Elementals, and opponent goes for a chump block on our Endurance, and we will play a tap tomb here. And opponent scoops up there, so we end up going positive. So overall, I really do like this deck. I think there are some weird things about it. Obviously, I'm not a huge fan of Maelstrom Pulse. I think the lack of 1-drops is definitely concerning, and possibly not playing our own Dothis, which are super powerful in these scam decks. I do really like the Pillage Bog effect. This is like super awesome. Allows us to find the Sorin or Vein Ripper a lot more consistently. So overall, this is a super sweet deck, fun and competitive. So if you're looking for that, this is definitely a deck for you. But thank you all for watching. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.